I'm on a deserted country road here, trying to determine which side of the wheel bearing is bad. So heading down here, I'm going to make a little quick right turn. And then it changes pitch now, so that tells me I should look closer at the right wheel bearing. Okay, I have the parking brake set. I have the rear wheels blocked. I'm going to jack it up and put it on a jack stand. If you don't have the assistance of power tools, you'll need to break loose the tightness of the lugs as well as the axle nut. Okay, what we're going to do now is take the caliper bracket along with the caliper off in one. It's a 21 millimeter. We'll go ahead and break those loose. Take those two bolts off. Okay, got these two bolts out. Now I'm going to take the caliper and hang it off the upper control arm here. Keep pressure off the hose. Next we'll remove the rotor. There happens to be a little O-ring that's on here to help keep the rotor on there. We'll take a pick and pull that off. Now if your rotor's still stuck on there, go and hit it with a hammer in these spots here. That'll jar it loose. Next what we'll do is take and remove the axle nut. It's a 31 millimeter. Next you want to take a soft hammer and make sure that the axle is free from the hub there. Just give it a couple pounds there. It moved, so we're good to go there. Now we'll take a 15 millimeter and there's 3 bolts on the back side holding this hub on there. We'll go ahead and remove those. Okay, we got those 3 bolts out of there. Now what I'm going to do is put this little hub puller on here and take a slide hammer and then yank this hub off of here. Okay, I got my makeshift hub puller on here. You can get these at auto parts stores on a Lona tool program, and they'll have the hub that'll fit over here. I'm just using this here because it's homemade, and we'll go ahead and pull this hub off of here. Okay, living in the rust belt here, it didn't budge, so what I'm going to do is brace the bottom of the steering knuckle, and I'm going to take and put this pipe wrench on here and then hit it with a sledgehammer. None of those methods seem to work. We even tried to hit it with the air hammer and get the bearing to spin there. No es bueno. So what I'm going to do is take and cut one of these studs off here, pound it through put a bolt in there and then push off the steering knuckle to see if I can get this hub to release. Okay, so what I got here is a bolt that goes through that hole. I'm going to hold this nut that's on the back side there. It's going to push off the steering knuckle and hopefully break this loose. Okay, put a stronger bolt on there. It's still not budging. What I'm going to do is go ahead and heat up the back side of this hub. See if that can break that rust bond there. And then I'm going to hit it again with the impact here to try to push that off. Okay, that was in there so tight, so what I had to do is take this top of the steering knuckle off the upper control arm. I went and I cut the flange for the brake, and then on the ears I cut those off, and then I put a puller on the back and I'm pushing the bearing out. And we do have some separation here. So on the back side I have a puller here. It's from a bearing separator kit, and I put the bolts all the way through where I cut those ears off so I could push it out from the back. You want to be careful because your speed sensor is in there. You don't want to be hitting that. So I'm going to take a little bit of wheel bearing grease and on our new bearing put it on the splines. Since this is pretty rusty up in this area of the country, we don't want the axle to rust into here and cause us issues. So you just need a little bit of grease like that. That's all you need. Then we'll put our dust shield on, and then we're going to install our bearing and then slide the axle back through. Put a couple drops of blue Loctite on the threads here. Before I assemble it, put a little blue Loctite on there. Just going to start the bolts, and I'm going to put the axle through. Okay, this thing has to go underneath the bolts. I got it in the hub there, so I'm going to take this off, line these up, and then I'm going to tighten the bolts up. Okay, that little metal ring in the back, if you do need to pull the axle, it is indexed for the speed sensor. So got that all lined up. Just going to go ahead, start our bolts here, and then tighten these down. Okay, got all those tightened down. I'm going to go and put our axle nut on, and I'm going to tighten it down with an impact. I believe the torque spec for this is 229 foot-pounds to torque this. However, I don't have a torque wrench that goes that high, so I'm just going to run it down with the impact, make sure it's nice and tight. If you don't have the assistance of power tools, you'll have to have the tire on the ground and then tighten that up. Okay, so we got the top of the steering knuckle in the upper control arm. I'll put our rotor back on. What I'm going to do here is clean all this rust up before I put it on there. Okay, now we'll place the little O-ring on there, and if it broke, it's not necessary to have it on there. Now we'll spray it down with brake clean on the rotor. Next we'll take our caliper bracket and caliper, and we'll slide it on there. We'll put some thread locker on the threads and then put the bolts in. Okay, don't want to forget my little S-hook here. Everything's tight now, so what we'll do is go ahead and install the wheel, and then we will start the lugs by hand, and then run them down with the impact. We'll put it on the ground and torque them to 130 foot-pounds. I'll remove the block. Nice and quiet.